Hello, all. This is Zan Y, and you're listening to or watching the Bible reading series. Today's is going to be Genesis 45. However, if you haven't watched the first video, at least do so for the disclaimer. But to get this thing started off correctly, the Lord's Prayer, Matthew 6, 9 through 13, King James Version. After this manner, therefore, pray ye, Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth, as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory, forever. Amen. Genesis 45, King James Version. Joseph deals kindly with his brothers. Then Joseph could not refrain himself before all them that stood by him, and he cried, Because every man to go out from me, and and there stood no man with him, while Joseph made himself known unto his brethren. And he wept aloud, and the Egyptians in the house of Pharaoh heard. And Joseph said unto his brethren, I am Joseph, doth my father yet live? And his brethren could not answer him, for they were troubled at his presence. And Joseph said unto his brethren, Come near to me, I pray you. And they came near, and he said, I am Joseph your brother, whom ye sold in Egypt. Sold into Egypt. Now therefore be not grieved, nor angry with yourselves, that ye sold me hither, for God did send me before you to preserve life. For these 2 years hath the famine been in the land, and yet there are 5 years in which there shall neither be earing nor harvest. And God sent me before you to preserve you a posterity in the earth, and to save your lives by a great deliverance. So now it was not you that sent me hither, but God. And he hath made me a father to Pharaoh, and lord of all his house, and a ruler throughout all the land of Egypt. Haste ye, and go up to my father, and say unto him, Thus saith thy son Joseph, God hath made me lord of all Egypt. Come down unto me, tarry not. And thou shalt dwell in the land of Goshen, and thou shalt be near unto me, thou and thy children, and thy children's children, and thy flocks, and thy herds, and all that thou hast. And there will I nourish thee. For yet there are 5 years of famine, lest thou, thy household, and all that thou hast come to poverty. And behold, your eyes see, and the eyes of my brother Benjamin, that is in my mouth, that speaketh unto you. And ye shall tell my father all of my glory in Egypt, and of all that ye have seen, and ye shall haste and bring down my father hither. And he fell upon his brother Benjamin's neck, and wept, and Benjamin wept upon his neck. Moreover, he kissed all his brethren, and wept upon them. And after that his brethren talked with him. And the fame thereof was heard in Pharaoh's house, saying, Joseph's brethren are come, and it pleased Pharaoh well in his servants. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, Say unto thy brethren, This do ye, lade your beasts, and go, and get you unto the land of Canaan. And take your father and your household, and come unto me, and I will give you the good of the land of Egypt, and ye shall eat the fat of the land. Now thou art commanded, this do ye, take you wagons out of the land of Egypt for your little ones and for your wives, and bring your father and come. Also regard not your stuff, for the good of all the land of Egypt is yours. And the children of Israel did so. And Joseph gave them wagons, according to the commandment of Pharaoh, and gave them provision for the way. To all of them he gave each man changes of raiment, but to Benjamin he gave 300 pieces of silver and 5 changes of raiment. And to his father he sent after this manner 10 asses laden with the good things of Egypt, and 10 she-asses laden with corn and bread and meat for his father by the way. So he sent his brethren away, and they departed, and he said unto them, See that ye fall not out by the way. And they went up out of Egypt, and came into the land of Canaan unto Jacob their father, and told him, saying, Joseph is yet alive, and he is governor over all the land of Egypt. And Jacob's heart fainted, for he believed them not. And they told him all the words of Joseph, which he had said unto them. And when he saw the wagons which Joseph had sent to carry him, the spirit of Jacob their father revived. And Israel said, It is enough. Joseph my son is yet alive. I will go and see him before I die. Get this real quick again. I am horrible at this. So, that ends the reading series, or reading portion, excuse me, not the reading series. Man, that's going to be a bit. So here, just a little overview. It's kind of, the story has come to fruition, meaning Joseph, the game is no longer afoot. Joseph has revealed himself to his brothers, and weeping and of many tears and kissing his brothers and telling them, in this, it says, I'm trying to find it here because the phrasing is different. Commandments, James Raymond. See that ye fall not out by the way. 45:24 here. This actually is, he said, do not quarrel on the way. We'll get to the commentary here in a bit, but I wanted to point that out because this phrase, see that ye fall not out by the way, is probably an idiom of the time that the King James was written, or it's an attempt to, I'd hate to say hide something. That's disingenuous of me, or not giving enough credence to those that are translating it. I think it's just, I don't like the phrasing here. I think quarreling along the way is a little bit more succinct and understandable, especially in our time frame. Anyways, and they go up. At first, their father does not believe them, and then he believes them, and he is joyous. This all being at the behest of Pharaoh telling him to take all of these goods up to his father in Canaan. So, let's get to the commentary here. Verse 1, Now Joseph could not bear all those standing beside him, and he called out, Take everyone away from me. So no one stood with him when Joseph made himself known to his brothers. Now Joseph could not bear all those standing. He could not bear the Egyptians would stand beside him and hear his brothers being embarrassed when he would make himself known to them. This is a possibility. There's another part to this that isn't like directly said, but we could probably infer by how they would know he is a Hebrew. It's a very obvious thing that they are commanded to do, but let's take this on the nose, or at least, as straightforward as we can. Yeah, I mean, he doesn't want to embarrass his brothers. He loves his brothers. He's finally coming to the place where he's going to treat his brothers like brothers. And one of the definitions of love later on in 1 Corinthians is, not speaking ill or speaking poorly of another person. So that could be one of the things that could be going on. Another part to this would be the command of the nation to make a cut to circumcise oneself. So there may be an implication here that isn't said, but it is in the Rava. So when it's spoken of in the Rava, there is a portion where it says, and it may even mention it in the Rashi's commentary here, that's how they knew. But he went out loud, so the Egyptians heard, and the house of Pharaoh heard. This is literal. So the house of Pharaoh, namely his servants and the members of his household. This does not literally mean a house, but it is like the house of Israel, the house of Judah, a Misneed, an old French household. Sorry, I misspoke. Does not literally mean it, but there's sometimes reading the Rava can get a little bit confusing for myself, but yeah, this is meaning the entirety of the thing. However, the words here, if I remember correctly, translate to Pharaoh's house. So like the people of his house. So verse 3 here, and Joseph said to his brothers, I am Joseph. Is my father still alive? Returning back to the Abrahamic courtesy, asking about someone and their well-being that is not there. However, this is very direct. It's his dad. But his brothers could not answer him because they were startled by his presence. They were startled by his presence because of embarrassment. So there could be this part of being embarrassed about his revealing himself as a person, like who he is, not revealing himself as, his manliness, but in the sense, and it could be that, is kind of what I'm trying to say, is like one could interpret this as basically they're embarrassed that he's still alive and they've acted like fools in front of him. They could be embarrassed about how he's treated them. They could be embarrassed about what they did to him. They could be like, there's multiple levels of embarrassment here. But they could also just simply be startled that their brother is alive. For me, that's probably the most pragmatic, or at least the most reasonable thing. I mean, just think about it. Like, you've been living your life this whole time and thinking we've sold him off to slavery. I mean, like, what else would happen? You know, like, where is he? Would we ever see him again? So startled by his presence. Verse 4, then Joseph said to his brothers, please come closer to me. And they drew close, and he said, I am your brother Joseph, whom you sold in Egypt. Please come closer. He saw them drawing backwards. He said, now my brothers are embarrassed. He called them tenderly and pleadingly, show them that he was circumcised. Hence, the my statement earlier about why he would say, take everyone away, to reveal himself to them, not in a negative manner, but basically to show who he is so that they would be convinced. However, it doesn't exactly say that. It just is, I guess, an intuitive thing to what would make them believe who he is. And there's one obvious thing. However, they may just believe him, outside of that. So take it or leave it. It's just something that was in the Rava. Now do not be sad, this is verse 5, and let it not trouble you that you sold me here, for it was to preserve life that God sent me before you. Okay, so here he's telling them, don't be sad, don't let it trouble you, but it says to preserve life. For life. Here's I guess later on a little bit like a salvific thing, a very, phenomenal or like physical salvation. They're in famine. They could die from surely not being able to eat. So God intended to save them by having him there. So what they intended for evil, God intended for good. So God made what happened into what it is. Now, there are some other movements that some people would say, like, this was already predetermined before time. I don't ascribe to that particularly. He did send him a dream. There are other causal effects that can happen to lead him to there. Did he have to specifically be thrown into a pit and sold? I'm not so sure. So the thing that I'm trying to say is whether we agree or disagree on that portion, what we can agree on is the concept that what his brothers intended to do was then changed for the good of the family. Verse 6, for already 2 years of famine have passed in the midst of the land, and for another 5 years there will be neither plowing nor harvesting. For already 2 years of famine have passed. So there's only 2 years of famine that have passed. There's a total of 5 more coming, if I have it correctly, mathematically. So there should be 7. And for another 5 years. Yeah, so 5 years. So I guess I don't have to do the math. It kind of says it right there. Verse 8 here. And now you did not send me here, but God, and he made me a father to Pharaoh, a lord over all his household, and a ruler over the entire land of Egypt. A colleague, a protector. This father statement here. Yeah, it's not like a biological father. It's a positional thing there. 9, hasten and go up to my father and say to him, so said your son Joseph, God has made me a lord over all of the Egyptians. Come down to me, do not tarry, and go up to your father. The land of Israel is higher than all other lands. So they're once again imparting this concept of, like, since it's geographically above it, then it's like above it in the concept of, like, righteousness. for this. And I will sustain you there, for there are still 5 years of famine, lest you become impoverished, you and your household, and all that is yours, lest you become impoverished. So this is, trying to remember what that said. Inheritance tax, yeah. Lest you become impoverished. So think of it like how taxation can take from you. This famine is kind of like a taxation per se on their well-being. So, and behold, your eyes see, as well as the eyes of my brother Benjamin, that is my mouth speaking to you. This is an idiomatic thing. And behold, your eyes see my glory, that I am your brother, for I am circumcised like you, and moreover that it is my mouth that is speaking to you in the holy tongue, as well as the eyes of my brother Benjamin. He compared them all together, saying that just as I harbor no hatred against my brother Benjamin, for he did not participate in selling me, neither do I have any hatred in my heart against you. This is a very consequential moment in my estimation. He is forgiving them and considering them equivalent for what they did. So this, as the eyes of my brother Benjamin, so his youngest brother was not a part of it, so he had no hate for him, but he's equaling him to the other brothers, Joseph is, and that he is considering them having no hate within inside of their heart for him. So like, whatever you did, it is annulled, or we are atoned together once again as brothers. This moment is an atonement moment between them. They're coming together as a unit, as brothers, as the tribes of Israel. And this, that it is my mouth speaking to you, I think what it's trying to say is that he's speaking in their language. That's why a few chapters back, there's a moment where there was an interpreter and Joseph, and they didn't know who he was, and I gave kind of my answer to he understood what they were saying. He didn't need an interpreter, but they didn't know who he was because he didn't speak to them in Hebrew. He probably spoke to them in Egyptian, or spoke strictly to his translator, and then his translator spoke to them. But his translator could have been Manasseh, who was his son, who he would have probably taught how to speak Hebrew. So anyways, a lot of inference, but it seems practical to me, at least on the front. Verse 14, and he fell on his brother's neck, brother Benjamin's neck, and wept, and Benjamin wept on his neck. And he fell on Benjamin's neck and wept for the 2 sanctuaries which were destined to be in Benjamin's territory and would ultimately be destroyed. So yeah, there are 2 sanctuaries that will come to be that are destroyed. And Benjamin wept on his neck for the tabernacle of Shiloh, which was destined to be in Joseph's territory, yet would ultimately be destroyed. So this neck here, this seems kind of weird, but that word that they use there actually means necks. Like there's 2 necks, and they're implying the fact that it is meaning the 2 sanctuaries are cut, like that came together, are going to ultimately be destroyed because they're weeping together. I guess just once again attempting to make it into like just a story. I mean, he's weeping on his brother's neck. Like they're weeping together, joyously weeping. They're weeping that they're reunited. And he kissed all his brothers and wept over them. And afterwards, his brothers spoke with him. And afterwards, after they saw him weeping, that he was wholehearted with them again. So, at least in the commentary, we begin to see this concept of wholeheartedness. They may have said it a little bit before, and I'm going to touch on this again, because I think that this is the conclusion, per se, of the story arc of Joseph and his brothers. There's reconciliation, there's repentance, there's forgiveness. They no longer see each other as opposition, accusation. They're wholehearted. They've come together with intent, brotherly intent. His brothers spoke with him, whereas previously they had felt shame before him. So they once again they've come to being wholehearted, and in one, like in unity. And the voice was heard in Pharaoh's house saying, Joseph's brothers have come, and it pleased Pharaoh and his servants. And the voice was heard in Pharaoh's house. Once again, I think this is Pharaoh's house, yeah. This is an expression denoting an actual house. So that's where I was getting confused. Okay, so the early part was the household, meaning like the people of the house. And then finally, this last iteration is going to be the actual house. Tell them to come to his house. Pharaoh said to Joseph, tell your brothers, do this, load up your beasts and go into the land of Canaan. Load up your beasts with grain. So like gather everything that you possibly can and give what you can. Take your father and your household and come to me, and I will give you the best of the land of Egypt, and you will eat the fat of the land. The best of the land, i.e. the land of Goshen. This is where that implication of Goshen is within the King James, I believe. But he prophesied, but did not know what he was prophesying. They, Israelites, would eventually make it Egypt like the depths of the sea, which have no fish. Possibly. The fat of the land here, this is milk. I believe something to do with milk again. Milk of the earth, there we go. Instead of the fat of the earth, or the fat of the land, is an expression meaning the best. So Pharaoh's going to give because of his relationship with Joseph, he's going to give the family the best that he has to offer. And Joseph has, this is verse 19, and you, Joseph, have been commanded to tell them, do this, take yourselves wagons from the land of Egypt for your young children, for your wives, and you shall carry your father and come. And you, Joseph, have been commanded by me to say to them, do this, so shall you say to them that it is in my power to provide for you. Remember that there was only one other person that was above Joseph, so he is commanding Joseph at this moment to do as he's being told, because he is technically above him as Pharaoh. Verse 23 here, and to his father he sent the following: 10 he-donkeys carrying of the best of Egypt, and 10 she-donkeys carrying grain, bread, and other food for his father for the way. So a total of 20 donkeys here. He sent the following. This literally means like this, meaning according to this amount. And what is the amount? So it's saying like this exact amount of the best of Egypt. We found in the Talmud that he sent him aged wine because elderly people find contentment with it. The fact that wine improves with age often affords contentment to the elderly, meaning that they feel content because wine gets older with age. Therefore, or wine gets better with age, and so they will get better with age. But in this, it's at least in the Rava, it means pounded beans, which they believe pounded beans soothes the soul, soothes a troubled soul. So there's okay. So all of that to say, like, what was being sent was like a charitable gift of like quelling your bereavement or soothing you for your bereavement and your troubles, and other foods, things eaten with bread. Verse 24 here, and he sent off his brothers, and they went, and he said to them, do not quarrel on the way. Do not quarrel on the way. So here the Hebrew is going to be, don't get angry on your way. I kind of like that a little bit better, but I do like the do not quarrel better than, sorry, the King James here just doesn't really have the see that you fall not out by the way. It just doesn't mean the same, I guess, to me. Do not do not engage in a halakhic discussion, lest the way cause you to stray. Another explanation. Do not walk with large steps and enter the city while the sun is shining. According to the simple meaning of the verse, we can say that since they were ashamed, he, Yosef, was concerned that they would perhaps quarrel on the way about his being sold, debating with one another and saying, because he was sold. You slandered him and caused us to hate him. Yes, he's being a peacemaker in this moment. Don't quarrel. Go back to Cain and Abel, right? Don't hate because of this. Like it's forgiven. It's taken care of. We have been brought together. We are one heart. Like don't ruin this, I guess would be kind of another way to think about it. Verse 26, and they told him, saying, Joseph is still alive. They're finally back with their father. Joseph is still alive, and they told him that he ruled over the entire land of Egypt, and his heart changed, for he did not believe them. They told them that he ruled. This is really a strange one, because I think it has something to do with thief. And why is he a thief? Yeah. I would actually like to really kind of dive into that one, because my mind doesn't have all the verses, but there is something about being a thief later on in the book, well, in the Bible. But here it's saying that he rules over Egypt. So it's a very strange nuance there, and I don't quite know exactly how that becomes rules over, but moving on, and his heart changed. So let's look at this here real quick. His heart was glad. However, his heart changed and went away from believing. His heart did not turn to believe these words, a term similar to their taste changes in the language of the Mishnah, and without respite also, and its bouquet did not change, is translated into this Aramaic here. So his heart changed. I'm not sure exactly like what's going on per se with that, but what I will say is that, at least from my understanding, he's confronted with something. Like he's confronted with almost the impossible in his mind. He's lived so long thinking that his son was perished, had no idea how it happened. He probably had some guesses to his sons maybe being a part of it, but having no answer. I mean, at least as far as we know, according to the story. So here he's faced with almost the impossible, and it's like that would be like the dead coming back alive to someone, like telling them, a good story would be like somebody goes overseas for a particular war or something. They don't return with the boats. They're not there. What else would you assume? So you begin to live your life as if they never lived, and then they show up on your doorstep one day. It's like the dead have risen again. Would almost be a similar kind of concept here. But moving on. In verse 27, and they told him all of Joseph's words that he had said to them, and he saw the wagons that Joseph had sent to carry him, and the spirit of their father Jacob was revived. All of Joseph's words, Joseph gave them a sign, viz. in what topic he was engaged when Joseph separated from him Jacob. That was the section dealing with the heifer that was to be beheaded, Deuteronomy 21. And this is what Scripture says. And he saw the wagons that Joseph had sent it, and Scripture does not say that Pharaoh had sent. I'll just say the next one and say my piece on this. And the spirit of Jacob was revived. The Shekinah, which had separated from him because of his grief, rested upon him once again. So this first part, imagine it like you send somebody off and you only give them enough for a loaf of bread, and they come back with, a truckload of grain, or a truckload of bread. But before you saw the truckload of bread, you were like, they were like, hey, this person that you thought isn't alive, sent us, is alive. And they're like, no, look outside, and there's this wagon full of bread. And it's like, oh, something has changed, right? That would be evidence, right? Now, this next part, and the spirit of Jacob was revived, the Shekhinah. So there's, in our Western concept of soul and body, we have been influenced heavily by Greek philosophy. Some of it being Platonism, some of it being, and don't mishear me, like there are very interesting and worthwhile things to think about with inside of these paradigms, but inside of the biblical or the Hebraic concept, it's not like a soul trapped within inside of a vessel that is despicable. And I know we always refer to the jars and all this stuff. That's not. Separate that from your mind for a moment. This spirit is actually something that is intertwined, rather, or pressed together, not two things, to individual things that are, it's more like an extrusion. If you know anything about like spaghetti. You take dough, you put it in this extruding thing, and it takes all that dough and it like extrudes that. Well, it would be similar to like two components, an A and a B part being put together and then extruded together into one thing. And so when they talk about this, the Shekinah, which had separated from him because of his grief and rested upon him, this is more like it's more of a uniting of the physical and the intent together into one thing again. Would be the best way that I could put it. I'll get to it here in a second. I'll so that we can finish this off, and then if you want to stay along for just a little bit of a detour, I'll take that one. So verse 28, and Yisrael said, enough, my son Joseph is still alive. I will go and see him before I die. And that is the last of this chapter here. Enough, my son Joseph is still alive. I have enough happiness and joy since my son Joseph is still alive. This is the prodigal son slightly, with a little bit of a different twist, I guess you could call it. He is joyous. He wants to see his son again. His heart has been brought alive by this news. Thank you so much for listening. I'm going to do a little bit of a tangent here. This is unusual for myself. I usually just kind of stop here, but I think that it's warranted to do this. So, what I was talking about with the Shekinah, there are three words that are in the Hebrew that they utilize for things like spirit, soul, and body. I'm trying to find the first utterance really quickly here. Called the firmament of heaven. He was. It's right there. Verse 2. I don't know why I thought it was farther down. Okay. Do not mishear me, because there is another religion out there that uses a similar word but misuses it, and it's very similar because the etymology is the same, but ruach here, or this what looks like ruha or ruah, it means breath, wind, mind, spirit. Now this is going to be really confusing because it's going to seem like it's going to be another word that I'm going to use, but the other word I'll try to parse out a little bit more. So the spirit of the living, breathing being in man and animals as gift preserved by God, God's Spirit. What I can, not to dive too deeply into this, and maybe I've done it once before and I just don't remember it right now, is that that's the intent, the desire, the what we could call is the will, it's the intent of an individual, kind of the passions, kind of the wants. So when it says that his spirit here and the ruach of God moved upon the face of the waters, it means his intent, his desire moved across it. Not a wind, like a breath of air. However, it is akin to that. And I'll get to that here in a second. So the next part of this is verse 7 here. In Genesis 2, verse 7. In Genesis 2, verse 7, it uses two other terms. So in this one, we have nafa, which is to blow, but it's similar to nefesh. Okay, so this one is like an active thing, like a doing. There is a neshama, which is the spirit, breath of man, but a little bit better way of thinking about this word is more of like a living or a being, the culmination of things. So roch is the intent, the desires. Neshama is the combination of roch and something else. Okay? Now, it may seem like I'm laying out the idea that it's like, one's contained in the other one. So here's the nefesh, right? The soul, the self, the life. So remember how I was like, this word here is like a here is a doing. This word here is the thing, right? And thing is kind of like a very poor term for me to use because now you're thinking of a substance, but it is kind of like a substance, but it doesn't adhere to what we would consider as like physics. It's not causal. It's not a I flick a domino and then another domino and another domino. It's not that, right? So the nefesh here is once again a better representation of this, and I hope that I haven't confused you yet. Nefesh and neshama, are kind of one and the same. And then there's, this website, I probably just make it a little smaller, but then it makes it harder for me to see things. There's another word called vasar. Trying to find the word here. But vasar is the physical body. I won't search for it again, or I'm not going to search for it. I'll just finish up with this because I feel like it's going a little too long. Okay. We have ruch, we have vasar, nachamesh, and neshama. Right? The ruch and the vasar, when he breathes into Adam, let's get back to 7 here. This form, yasar, is akin to vasar. Vasar is the tangible, breathed naflach, which is the action into his nostrils. The neshama, it's the thing, and it's molded together. It's not put into the other thing. That may not seem like a great nuance, and I've done it poorly, and maybe it might be a great thing for me to, make a PowerPoint on this and kind of like maybe have some arrows as well. But what I'm trying to say is there's an intent, there's a physical thing, and then there's the thing together, those things together, and in one, molded together, not put into the other one, molded together. And that is now in union with something else. See, it becomes something, and then it can become in union with another thing. And that's what I'm saying when I was talking about it rested upon him, is actually the coming together of the beings, the intents, the being, the body, the intent, and the intent and body, the intent of God, the Spirit of God. I keep on clicking on that one. It's not the one that I want. Into this unity, right? So this was a poor representation, and I know that I'm probably going to get lambasted for this one, but I hope that I've begun to create the groundwork of removing the concept of a thing within inside of a thing, and the thing that it's inside of is corrupted. That's not the concept here. When this is in the spirit of Jacob was revived, it's not talking about a thing within something else that's being brought to life. It is something that is becoming unified with something. That was a lot of me, like, just, jumping around ideas to try to say that. And I know that there would probably been a better way to say it, but hopefully that came across. I'll try to do a PowerPoint or a video that has direct linkages and the words put aside in the verses and everything. Anyways, thank you so much for listening, especially there at the end. I know I kind of got a little belabored and went off the cuff there. Usually ends poorly, but I hope to see you next time. Thank you so much.